Hello trainers, Kaneto here, and today we are diving together into Ultra League with another Pokemon Spotlight for the meta. This time we're gonna cover in depth the amazing Cobalion as a safe switch for the meta, and it's a Pokemon that you kinda wanted, some of you, so let's see how crazily good this one is gonna be against the meta with those 4 teams in total that I'm gonna showcase just for you. So up on the lead, for the first team showcase, out of the total 4, we're gonna have Giratina on its altered form. This Pokemon is gonna be pretty good up against most threats. I really like it up on the lead for the meta, able to cover the Swampers, the fire types, or something like a Trevenant, not with this, but still gonna go pretty rough up against them. You can always use your Dragon Claws and your Shadow Claws, while for the second move you can either use Ancient Power for extra coverage against Charizard or Talonflame. You can use something like a Shadow Sneak for extra coverage against a Trevenant, or just go with the Shadow Force, which is a legacy move and its signature move for some really nice nukes against the meta. So definitely an all-around pick, so that's why I enjoy using Giratina. Its main weakness is gonna be the fairy type, so here is where the backline can come pretty handy on that matter, both with Cobalion as a safe switch and the amazing wall rain. So about Cobalion, well, we're not gonna talk a lot about this Pokemon for the first team because we're gonna have it on the entirety of this video. Well, you have nothing to worry about. It can go pretty hard even against its worst counters, so we're gonna get there eventually on this video. But first, let's talk a bit about Wolverine because it is gonna be the closer of this line. I really like it as a spammy option, but also the Earthquake is gonna give you coverage against some steel types, which is pretty neat. As a core breaker though, we got the Scrafty, so this Pokemon with the dark typing can work pretty nicely up on the lead against Giratina, and of course at the back with those punches it might be kinda problematic for the backline, and I say kinda because you still got another fighter on your team that can pretty much counter it down in return, so it's kind of an even matchup give and take situation, but with the power up punches getting vamped up over time, perhaps Scrafty might be the ultimate core breaker for this line, but definitely a soft one because even Giratina can still pressure a lot with those Dragon Claws, and if you happen to use a Dragon Breath version of Giratina, you can even press down those Crafts and obstacles for sure. Other than that, I think that this team has no other clear weaknesses, and you're gonna be able to grab some really nice victories on the open meta of Ultra League. We proceed now into the next one with Cresselia on the lead, at the back the Cobalion and Pidgeot as our closer. I like this line a lot, but I think that you might want to replace Pidgeot with Staraptor. On PvPoke, Pidgeot is the better version of that flying Pokemon, but I think that Pidgeot is a better leader while Staraptor is a better closer only because of that close combat. And of course the close combat is gonna give you a variety of options against more threats, so yeah, you can see a give and take situation, but Pidgeot is slightly tankier while it also has the debuffing move on that Feather Dance. At the back we also have Cobalion, which is once again our primary safe switch, and up on the lead the Cresselia, so up against a Registeel for example, you want to definitely switch out to your Cobalion while your Staraptor will remain as a closer. But if you do not have a Staraptor on your team, perhaps you want to stay in with your Cresselia, so you can see as to how Registeel can work as a core breaker for this line. However, I think that if you run Staraptor, you're gonna get coverage against steel types, so you can be on a very good spot overall. So this line is particularly strong. You want to switch out most of the times aggressively to your Cobalion to draw out something like a Swampert for example, so that your closing part is gonna be much safer than usual. And if you can always draw something like I don't know, a Charmer, this is gonna be also a plus for you. I think that Cresselia upon the lead is gonna cover a lot of threats, especially the dark types, which is pretty cool for a psychic type Pokemon because of that Moonblast. You might want to run something like a Future Sight over Grass Knot, because whenever they're gonna see your Cresselia upon the lead and they have something like a Swampert or Wall Rain, most of the times they're gonna get out of there, which means that you are always gonna threat those Pokemons out of your way. And of course with Future Sight you're gonna get coverage against poisons, which is non-existent at this point, but also against Charizard and Talonflame, which is pretty neat, while Moonblast is mainly gonna be used as your primary charge attack. I think that this line has a lot of potential in the meta, and I believe that if you replace Pidgeot with Staraptor, you're gonna be on a much better spot than usual with this line. Cobalion is kinda weak to Swampert, and that's why it is gonna pair up pretty well with Trevenant. So with Trevenant up on the lead for the next team showcase, you're gonna get a lot of coverage against Swampert, against other ghost types, and of course against the fighters, but against Obstagoon and Scrafty you might be in a little bit of trouble, but still those back-to-back seed bombs are gonna be working towards your advantage. I think that a Pokemon like Talonflame might be kind of a core breaker for this team, but Gliscor, to be honest, is gonna work much better, especially after all those night slashes that might give it the boost. And Cobalion is still gonna struggle against that Gliscor, and the reason I am not having here a Charizard or a Talonflame is only because of Stone Edge that Cobalion might have, so you can definitely threat those shields with a potential Stone Edge from your Cobalion. While you cannot do that on a Gliscor, they can still survive your moves and they can still reach to the Earthquake to finish you off. So Gliscor definitely a notable core breaker for this line, but other than that I think that Trevenant is gonna work pretty nicely upon the lead, even against its whole counter, something like a Gliscor or a Talonflame, while at the back your Cobalion is gonna be used primarily as your safe switch once again. This video is all about Cobalion, so you can see that we're gonna use it a lot as our safe pick here, while the closing part will be left on the shoulders and the wings of our Charizard. So Charizard with the Blast Burn able to do a lot of severe work against the enemy. I really like the possibility of using a Shadow one, but still I think that the regular run, if you have a high rank, you can still go pretty rough against your enemies, especially against the Swampert, being able to survive a whole Hydro Cannon and still reach to your moves. They need 2 Hydro Cannons to finish off your Charizard. Those mud shots are never gonna be enough on an even matchup with a Swampert up against you, which is pretty cool for a high rank non-Shadow Charizard, and you can definitely take advantage of that. So this line is gonna work pretty nicely. You can easily draw out that Swampert of the enemy with your Cobalion, while your Trevenant can then finish it off, and your Charizard most probably will be able to finish off the remainings of the opposing lines. Do you remember Articuno, trainers? Well, for the next one we're gonna use it up on the lead, while at the back we're gonna have Cobalion and Jellicent. Up on the lead, the Articuno is gonna be able to do a lot of work against the enemies, especially the Dragon types with those ice moves, while Hurricane is gonna get you coverage for the end game, most probably against a fighter that they might have at the back. Even against something like a Charizard or a Talonflame, you might want to run something like an Ancient Power, but still Hurricane is gonna connect for big and lethal damage, because this is a nuke after all from an Articuno getting stabbed along the way. And if you have a Shadow one, I think that Shadow Articuno is gonna work much better for the open Ultra League meta. At the back we're gonna pair the Cobalion with Jellicent, much like before with the Trevenant. Cobalion is gonna find a solid partner on the weird face or mustache, whatever that is, mustache of Jellicent. So you're gonna see that this backline is gonna work pretty nicely, covering each other weaknesses. And of course the only weakness that you might have with this line is gonna be the Talonflame, and that is gonna be because of the Incinerates, and the reason that I prefer it as a core breaker for this line over Charizard, because against Charizard you can still debuff it and go pretty rough against them with your Articuno, while with those Incinerates, shredding apart your ice typing is not gonna be appreciated upon the lead. And if you are gonna switch out to your Cobalion, well, you have to sacrifice it along the way, trying to get some shields out of the way and then go in with the Jellicent. So the synergy is there, but you have to kinda dig for it to happen. And of course, if you find your miracle way to destroy down the enemy Talonflame, you're gonna be on a very good spot overall. This line will destroy down the enemies. You have a lot of coverage, able to spam your way to victory with those Sacred Swords, with the debuffs, with those serves, and of course Shadow Ball from Jellicent is gonna be pretty handy on the closing part. So I think this is gonna be a wrap for the total coverage of Cobalion in some really nice teams for the Ultra League. I finally said it, and that is gonna be the end of an amazing video covering in total the Cobalion. Thank you for watching, trainers. Just be sure to leave a huge like before you go, subscribe to the channel if you already haven't, and if you want to support even more, well, joining as a member can always help with that matter. Thank you once again, and I hope to see you all into the next one. Take care, trainers.